Greetings, this is James Gillen with As You Wish Talk Radio. Got a great show tonight and a few little announcements we have to make. One of the things a lot of people are getting into this major 13th, 14th event, which we are going to cover about all the UFO activity around the world. And I'm sure we'll get into that in depth in the show. And also chemtrails, we might be able to get into that as well. So there's so many different areas we can go on this show. You can go ahead and call in later on in the show, and if you want to add to the topics. But without any further ado, I want to bring Michael Ellegion in on the show. And for those that don't know Michael, he's written the book, his new book, Prepare for the Landing. He's got some amazing information to share with us, and I want to bring him straight on away. So, Michael, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Glad to be here, James.
Hey, welcome to the show again.
Glad to be here again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many topics I want to first get into. Everybody's just screaming about this guy from NORAD that came out with this prediction of October 13th and 14th of major flyovers around major cities. So do you have any comments on that topic?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I personally stay away from, and to me, when dates are given, I'm a little leery, considering how the forces that have controlled this planet like to play around with dates and situations. Though it was interesting watching some of the DVDs, videos of the different witnesses to some of the ships and what they were, some of the stuff that was going on. It was kind of fascinating to the degree that he had predicted there would be mass decloakings over every major city. Now, over in New York City, there were quite a few videos. People had observed stuff going on. So, it was kind of interesting. There's always sightings going on, but to the degree that, he was giving the impression it was going to be a much bigger thing. And so I don't know. I'm kind of like keeping my opinion about the whole thing, since I know that there's lots of stuff going on that both Federation is involved and also the Black Op Cabal has their stuff going on too. So, we have to kind of use our discernment, cognitive, deductive reasoning to kind of come to a conclusion about, how much of this was in fact any kind of false flag, or was it in fact the Federation Lightships putting on a little show, taking advantage of, since it was a report that was going to happen. It's kind of like, well, let me go ahead and do something since people are going to be looking at the sky anyway, possibly. Who has the upper hand in all of this? And we, the people, of course, have to use our discernment and demand for accountability, and to demand that if any, groups try to put on something, neutralize them. According to what I've been told, and other sources have also said the higher forces would, in fact, if as long as we take responsibility, that's one of the requirements, they would step in and neutralize any major big event to fool us. But we still have to be cautious about that in these final, times of Earth.
Yeah, I agree. There's a couple little red flags in there. I heard an interview with the man, and it was quite interesting because one of the things he said, which was kind of a red flag for me, is that he was kind of really saying, gung-ho on the Greys and things like that, which is, to me, a little red flag. I haven't had any really positive interaction.
And also, he said something about this group that he was supposedly communicating with. They made some kind of about how other worlds were allowed to go to go to an extreme, that Earth is a special place. Well, from my understanding, yes, there have been some planets similar to Earth where initially, a long time ago, like all your forces always tell me, we may make mistakes, but we don't repeat it over and over again, as we noticed on Earth. So that statement was kind of a little askew and kind of giving the impression, lots of these planets went to an extreme. There were a few, but it was kind of like, I don't know, there was just something the way he was describing it, and that I didn't really feel that from the spiritual sense of what you and I are attuned to, what the consciousness that these beings exist in, that we are in, it's like somehow I just don't, some of the way he was explaining things, and I don't mean to criticize him, it's just, I didn't feel comfortable with a few of the things he said that seemed to be not in conjunction to what I'm familiar with as far as the Elohim and the higher forces. It seemed to be a lot out of sync. But maybe that's just his human, not totally comprehending the whole enchilada. But, we can analyze it in many different ways. But there was something I wanted to get into that I'm thinking is definitely related to a spiritual thing. This is about I don't mean to throw the topic off, but it's coming to me really strong about the 33 trillion miners. And something going on, and this is something that's been coming to me for quite some time, and I've heard rumors in the grapevine, so to speak, about it, but the medical officials don't really want to touch it, even though they know. Now, we know that the miners, I had a very strong impression there was some kind of, more than just mundane, that they were lucky, and then, I really feel there was some kind of divine intervention that helped them. Now, whether somebody who said, I heard a story that they wondered if there had been, I don't know, but my thing is that they were going to go through these medical examinations, and I really feel then, and I was talking about this in Mark Snyder's show before I came on yours, and we're having some interference too. The couple all was screwing with the lines. It was just, when we have interference, I just love those. I appreciate those tender, loving care, little confirmations that I'm touching on things they didn't want to talk about. But, George Adamski, when they did an autopsy on him, they discovered things in his brain that was different, quote unquote, than what should have been there. And I made a comment to Mark. I said, well, I believe that all of us who have come in during this time, that I'm talking about those of us who are tuned to higher frequencies, if we were to have an examination done, which higher forces wouldn't allow, they would be determined unusual, strange things about our physical body based on the consciousness and frequencies we deal with. And that when they do these autopsies on the miners, and I think they're going to discover something. Now, whether they will acknowledge it openly, because we know corporate control media over here would cover it up, but I really feel that eventually there's going to be acknowledgement that our bodies are changing because of the frequencies coming on the planet right now. And this is going to be, I didn't mean to go off on another topic, but this is something I really feel people need to be aware of, that there's some stuff going on that, because they said something about there were things that happened they weren't allowed to talk about. And I thought, what are they talking about? Not allowed to talk about. What could they be? That was kind of strange. But I know we're getting off on another topic, but this is, to me, significant about planetary frequency shifts, what the higher forces are doing to help us, interphasing with us, and, how our bodies are changing, too. And that's connected with our discernment and cognitive deductive reasoning, all the abilities we need to utilize to get through this time, not be fooled or manipulated, and keep our hearts open and our minds open to receive whatever the higher forces want to download without, distorting it.
I think there's another interesting thing going on, that the number 33, that's the number the Masons
yeah, I noticed
use,
that. 33.
To totally distract us from what's really going on. And I go, what are the odds of it being exactly 33 minors?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the odds are so far out of whack of that happening. And we kind of wonder, now I don't want to throw a huge conspiracy bomb into this, but I mean, it could have been 32, 31, 25, 45, but it's 33,
which is a master number.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of that, because I don't think they're going to willingly do it. But I've heard, through the grapevine, that there have been some weird things through the years that came out briefly and then they suppressed it. Some doctor wanted to say, there was something strange, and then they were, like a guy go, you're not allowed to talk about it. If you're going to lose your job, no, we're not allowed to talk. But I just think that something is significant about, possibly the medical examinations that are going to occur. Whether again it will be knowledgeable, because they're going to do extensive examination. I think it would be a geneticist would probably know more. But anyway, I didn't mean to delve off the topic that much, but it just seems significant to me of what's happening right now. With
speaking of going off the topic, we've been having here in the past few days, it's been pretty heavy, but the chemtrails are just off the scale, and they are hitting day and night and turning this place into a fog, basically. And it is so toxic, you can't even breathe this air right now. And I was looking at a long list of the chemicals that they're coming up with, that are 600 times over the toxic effect in these chemtrails that they're monitoring. And so, aluminum, barium, strontium, I can go on and on.
James, this is something, I did a show today in the Cosmic Connection show, about this topic, which is going on another topic of I am incredibly, very impatient with these so-called, and I use that word so-called, environmental groups like the Sahara Club and Greenpeace, who you would think that a group that claims to be so concerned about authentic, environmental concerns. They don't even touch it with the 10-foot pole. And where's this accountability of an organization that sends out emails, asks us for donations, and we want to make sure our donations are going to a good cause. And yet, what should not only have they never talked about it, it should be centerpiece to one of their major goals to expose and end the chemtrail and HAARP thing that came out in the late 80s. And through the years, I waited to see, I think these groups they never touched it at all. And it became very clear to me that these organizations were taken over, by government interests. And, it was like it's forbidden. Don't talk about the real important issues, at the top of the list here. Chemtrails and HAARP that are really hitting the environment with such incredible toxic, and yet they don't talk about it. Something doesn't add up,
Are they talking about the testing, of the ELF waves in the ocean that are breaking the eardrums of the whales and killing a lot of the whales and, making them founder? I'm wondering if they're even covering that end of it.
Well, at one time I thought I heard some of the groups talking a little bit, but then it seems like they haven't lately. It was almost like they got threatened or something, like, oh, no, those are covert things. We don't want you to go there. We don't want to stir stuff up. It's almost I haven't heard anything lately. Maybe they have, but I just haven't heard anything. But when they initially came out with that, there seemed to be some concern, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, keep it all pablum, keep it all real warm and fuzzy. Animal rights are important and everything, but the chemtrails are affecting everything: animals, human, the whole planet, Mother Earth. Everything is being so horribly toxic with the chemtrails. Like you said, the list of all of these things, and the HAARP thing messing up. Like there's an old saying, it's not wise to fool Mother Nature. And this HAARP thing, instead of using it for benevolent in a positive way to work with Mother Nature and create a weather thing that is good for us, it's interfacing with the chemtrail thing to create toxic and nasty effects on our consciousness and our immune systems. That's what I determined. Now, here's the other side. I am told that the higher forces are stepping in. I think you're getting protection too, that even though the cabal is blasting when they're desperation, they're getting extremely desperate now. So they're turning up the faucet on these chemtrail things, like overriding. But I'm picking up that our immune systems, as we tune into the higher consciousness, and with the higher forces stepping in, we're beginning to build up an immunity, so it's not affecting us. If our consciousness shifts, as I say, compared to somebody on a mundane level, they're very vulnerable to this stuff. But if you raise your consciousness and you do the things that will build up your immune system, and you ask for the higher force to overshadow this whole process, I'm being told we're giving support. And I've seen many times at the ends of chemtrails when the lenticular clouds will appear, ships in the etheric or physical, and they ionize around, and then the chemtrails will disappear. Or they will be there, but the effects on us aren't the same. It's like how much chemtrails are throwing out there that they're impacting the chemtrails with their own technologies to neutralize as much as they can, like they did with the radiation back in the 50s and 60s with all the radiation testing in New Mexico and Nevada. So they're stepping in again to take the petrochemical poisons, they've told me. And also they're doing these downloading with encodement processes to help us, when I do a reading for a person, they put these encodements on the tape that's designed to build up the immune system. If the person will take personal responsibility, that will enhance the process.
Yeah, what they're doing here is just beyond imagination. I have never seen anything like it. And it's not just, during the day, excuse my voice because I'm suffering a little bit from those effects.
Yeah.
They are hammering day and night. And
they're targeting you, obviously.
Oh yeah, the wee hours in the morning, we are getting hit hard, very low level spraying.
Yeah.
And on